Hi folks, I'm Dr. Ed Beyer. Welcome to my video on identifying and removing the 22 patterns of thyroid dysfunction with functional medicine, okay? This is a video for those of you who know you have a thyroid problem or you suspect you have a thyroid problem and you're not getting answers and you're not getting better through traditional medicine. Now, this is a shorter version of my 1 hour webinar or seminar that I give. I have found that online, they're not able to hang in there a whole hour. So I'm trying to condense it down and give you the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty of my longer version. But you can access my longer version on my website, BeyerNaturalHealthSolutions.com, or click the link below. Now, why do you want to watch this whole video in its entirety? You're going to gain a greater understanding of the true causes of thyroid dysfunction. None of you have all of them, but the main point that I'm going to make is if you get the proper testing done, we can identify exactly which ones you have and we can get rid of them, okay? Stuff that traditional medicine doesn't do. I'm going to review the exact cost of all that testing in my program at the very end. And at the very end, I'm going to give you a private phone number that you can call to give you an opportunity to consult with me for 30 minutes at no charge. And that can be done either virtually or in my clinic. So this is a transfer of knowledge. I have patients all over the country, all over the world, actually. And it's a matter of just doing testing and figuring you out. LabCorp is nationwide. It's the lab that we use. And any other specialty labs that we use, we can send drop ship to your home. Same thing with supplements and enzymes and different things that we do. And then I meet with you either on the phone or Skype if you want to do it virtually. So the difference between functional medicine and traditional medicine. So a lot of you are really kind of dismayed or frustrated with your endocrinologist. I've heard it. I've been doing this for like 33 years now, and you're not getting answers. So traditional medicine is really good at identifying what you have, but they're not really good at identifying why you have it. I want to know what you have, but I want to know why you have it. And that's what we're going to get into today. So you're going to be amazed at how easy this can actually be. You know, the traditional medicine, when it comes to thyroid, honestly, they're just woefully inept. They're looking at maybe 1 or 2 of those 22 patterns. They're looking at TSH and T4. And you're going to see that that's just so inadequate when it really comes to really understanding the thyroid and how it works. Right? Even, you know, traditional medicine it's a pharmaceutically driven system, folks. The U.S. represents 5% of the world, and we consume 72% of the world's pharmaceuticals, right? So they also Big Pharma controls insurance reimbursement. So I'm going to share something with you. You're not going to like it, but it's the actual truth. If you want quality natural care to a chronic issue like thyroid issues, don't expect your insurance to cover this, okay? And I don't kill the messenger, okay? It's just a true message, but why should you care, right? So we pay for a lot of things that our health insurance doesn't cover. Our cars, our cell phones, our trips, clothes, gifts, all these different things that we readily pay for. This is your health that we're talking about. So the people that come to see me, they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And at the end of the day, they're all like, this is the best money I ever spent. I'll go over cost at the very end. Look at this Medicare guidelines right here. A treatment plan that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong and enhance the quality of life, or a therapy that is performed to maintain or prevent deterioration of a chronic condition is deemed not medically necessary. So that's where our healthcare system's at. Just, you know, if you're dismayed with that, just wrap it up in a box, put it on the shelf. What you're going to hear today is totally different. So why is thyroid hormone so important? Well, it controls our genes. Every cell in our body needs thyroid. Genes are constantly active. They're like little blueprints that make what the cell needs. And there's billions of cells that die every day, and new ones need to be made. Our genes control all that, and thyroid controls our genes. So that's why areas of the body where there's high cellular turnover, like the gut, skin, and hair, they don't do very well if your thyroid isn't working. So every cell in the body requires thyroid hormone to run the genetic activity. And there's no other hormone that can make that claim. So just to get into the physiology a little bit of thyroid function, it all starts in the brain, at the very top of this little schematic here. So in the brain, there's this little area called the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, and that's like the air traffic control tower of all of our hormones. There's some issues that will affect that area where you won't produce enough TSH. TSH comes from the pituitary gland, thyroid stimulating hormone. It's not a thyroid hormone, it's a brain hormone that stimulates the thyroid. Then it goes to an enzyme in the gland called thyroid peroxidase, TPO. That enzyme then makes T4, mostly T4, about 93% of what comes out of the gland is T4, 7% is T3, which is active. T3 is active, T4 not active. It jumps onto a protein, thyroid binding globulin, I call it a taxicab, and that protein delivers it to the liver, the gut, and the kidneys and other areas where the inactive T4 gets converted over to T3, and then the T3 goes into the cell and tells which genes to go off and which genes to go on. So that's thyroid physiology. And most of the low thyroid function occurs away from the gland, and your doctor never even looks at that, right? So a lot of you have been told that your lab tests are normal, and it's kind of maddening. Like, how can they be normal? I have no idea how they can be normal when I don't feel normal. Well, let me teach you something. When your doctor runs a lab test, like LabCorp, Quest, or whatever, and they compare your results to the lab ranges, well, no one ever asks, well, who determines these lab ranges? Well, I'm going to tell you how they're determined. They take the average low and the average high of whoever's been in that lab for the last year. Well, I'm going to ask you, what kind of people go into labs? Are they healthy or usually sick? They're usually unhealthy. So those lab ranges are based on an unhealthy population. We don't use lab ranges. We compare you to functional, healthy people ranges, not determined by me, but determined by the Endocrine Society and the American Academy of Chemists, right? So they've determined what healthy ones. Those are called functional lab ranges. So your doctor is waiting for you to be sicker than the average sick person before they tell you have a problem. It's maddening, I know, and that's how it's done. And they don't run enough markers when it comes to thyroid physiology. We run up to 9 or 10 markers immediately to figure out that whole process that I just ran you through. Your doctor usually just looks at TSH, maybe T4. It's woefully inept. So for example, TSH, most labs are going to, in the middle column there, they're going to have it between 0.3 and 5.7. So over to the right, if you're at 4.2, you're within that lab range. Your doctor's going to say you're fine. But we know if we drew the blood of 1,000 healthy people, it would be between 1.8 and 3.0, or that left column. 4.2 to us, high TSH, mostly signifies low thyroid, but not all the time, which you're going to learn. So functional ranges is where it's at. And then they don't run enough markers, right? So the doctor is always looking at TSH. If TSH is high, they assume that your thyroid is low. If it's low, they assume that it's high. That's only true in 4 of the 22 patterns. So these are the markers that we run right here. They don't really mean a lot to you, but we run 9 to 10 of them, including the antibodies to determine whether you have autoimmune thyroid, which is the #1 cause. And the other point is that most of you have more than one cause to low thyroid. So the 22 patterns, the first 5 originate in the brain, the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. This is the area of the brain that's like the air traffic control tower, right, of our hormones. So there's 5 causes why this area could start to function low. Serotonin deficiency, dopamine deficiency, systemic inflammation, or what we call elevated cytokines, elevated prolactin, and elevated cortisol. These 5 things are going to cause your pituitary gland to spit out less TSH. So now you're not stimulating the thyroid like it should be. So TSH will actually be low. And your doctor's going to think low TSH, high thyroid. Not true when it comes to this. So there's less stimulation of the thyroid gland. What can cause those 5 things? There's so many of them, right? You can read through these: genetic mutations, certain medications, inflammatory diet, food sensitivity, unstable blood sugar, hidden infections, autoimmune disease, leaky gut, post-pregnancy. I've seen a lot of people post-pregnancy where their thyroid goes bad. So here's the point that I want you to make, that I want to make to you, that I want you to understand. Your doctor doesn't check for these. We do. They don't even consider this. It's not even on their radar, right? And so many people have this. So we do the proper testing to determine, is the pituitary gland putting out enough TSH to the thyroid? And if not, what do you have here? So again, we don't really care. We care why you have what you have. That's important, but we're more interested in the why. And this is 5 of the 22 right here. So some other causes of low serotonin, dopamine, high inflammation. You can read these: poor sleep, junk food, adrenal dysfunction. All these things we sleuth out through the testing. So here's a test that we do to look at cortisol. It's a saliva test. And you could see we want cortisol to be in the green area. We measure cortisol in the morning, midday, 5 o'clock, and at night through saliva. We have the patient collect it. This person has high cortisol. High cortisol shuts down the pituitary gland. So that was one of the reasons why they had low thyroid. Does your doctor look for that? No. So this video is all about giving you a little bit of hope. And then there's certain genetic mutations that can cause low serotonin and dopamine, which will shut down that area of the brain. Now, so that's 1 through 5. We just went through that really fast. Again, if I'm going too fast, you can always watch the hour-long video. I get into this in more detail. Number 6 and 7 is an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's. A lot of you know about it. Many of you have it and don't know you have it because your doctor doesn't run the proper test. This is where your immune system is attacking one of two things or both: an enzyme in the gland that makes thyroid, which is TPO, or the main protein that makes up the backbone of our thyroid hormone, which is called TGB. This is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So this is an actual problem in the immune system attacking the gland, right? It's not really a direct thyroid problem. It's an immune system problem, right? So many of you, this is the number one cause of low thyroid. Now, I have a whole video on Hashimoto's. If you know you have it or you suspect it, I have a whole hour-long video that you can access on my website, BeyerNaturalHealthSolutions.com, and you can watch it. So these are the 15 most popular triggers to Hashimoto's. I'm not going to get into each one of them. You can look at them right here. But my point is if we test for them and we remove them, then we're going to put your autoimmunity into remission. We don't cure it, but we put it in remission. Because if you go back to your triggers, then you're going to get it again. So, and the important thing is what's triggering Hashimoto's in one person can be totally different in the next person. Because so many of you are going online, right? You're Googling Hashimoto's, thyroid. Do I go gluten-free, vitamin D, glutathione? You don't know. You don't know until you do the testing. Everybody's different. You could spend 2 lifetimes trying to figure out yourself. That's what people hire me for, is to figure it out, coach them, get them better, teach you how to maintain your health the rest of your life so that you have that ammunition and those tools, and we empower you to take care of your own health. This is a leaky gut test, for example. I have never found an endocrinologist that a lot of them don't even know what leaky gut is, okay? So that's the gateway to autoimmunity. It's like having holes in your screen door on a hot summer day. If the gut barrier is leaky and things are going into your bloodstream, stoking your immune system all day long, we got to identify it and fix it. That's the gateway to autoimmunity. I'm not making this stuff up. It's all in the scientific literature, folks. It's just that, again, traditional medicine, it's what do you have, not why do you have it. This is the big why in autoimmunity. Food sensitivities. So it's a blood test, a finger prick test. We look at 96 commonly consumed foods. The foods we eat today are different than the foods we ate 30, 40 years ago. They've all been genetically modified and deaminated and all that. We eat it and our immune system reacts to it. That's a huge trigger to autoimmune disease. So we run this test. It's really not that difficult, not that complicated. So low vitamin D is an autoimmune trigger. Gut microbiome, which is a DNA test where we look at the specific species of bacteria in the gut. That's 80% of our immune system, right? So this is so overwhelming research behind all this stuff, but traditional medicine doesn't look at it. Certain genetic mutations that prevent methylation from occurring can be a trigger to Hashimoto's too. We check for this and we identify it and correct it. So again, I have a whole hour-long video on Hashimoto's and how to put it into remission with functional medicine on my website. So the facts about Hashimoto's disease: it's the most common cause of underactive thyroid in the United States, severely underdiagnosed. Traditional medicine doesn't address it. They don't even acknowledge it. And by the way, if you have Hashimoto's, your TSH can fluctuate like the wind. So your doctor's like, wow, it's high, now it's low, now it's high, because that's the main marker they look at, right? TSH. But it's a really unreliable marker if you have Hashimoto's. There's a genetic component, so if you have it, you're probably going to have children that are going to get it, unless you learn your triggers and then help them. Most people with Hashimoto's have other dysfunction in the thyroid besides the autoimmune process. It greatly impacts brain function. Autoantibodies can fluctuate, so you can be tested and the antibodies are negative. Next day they can be positive. Once you test positive for Hashimoto's, you have it. Okay, even if at one point the antibodies test negative, you always have it. There's no cure, there's remission. TSH can fluctuate, we talked about that. 60% of people with antibodies to the thyroid have antibodies to the cerebellum. So they get these vestibular migraines, they get dizziness and shakiness and a lot of motor problems. It also can affect intrinsic factor and absorption of B12. It can cause celiac disease and other autoimmune diseases. Number 8, so we're moving on, we're going fast, okay? Number 8 is low enzyme TPO activity due to progesterone deficiencies, right? You ever wonder why women that are ovulating, that are menstruating, why you measure your temperature at ovulation, right? Why does your temperature go up at ovulation, right? Because you get a surge of progesterone at ovulation, all right? And that increases thyroid function, which increases temperature. A lot of people don't know that. So progesterone surges increase TPO thyroid activity. But what if your progesterone is low? What if you're on birth control pill? Guess what, folks? If you're on birth control pill, ladies, your progesterone's low, right? Your ratio between estrogen and progesterone is really off. And there's a lot of reasons for progesterone deficiency that we can get into. Birth control pills, adrenal fatigue, if the brain's not stimulating the ovaries properly or adrenals, poor blood sugar can lower progesterone, so we look at that. Number 9, the activity of the gland, of the enzyme in the gland, thyroid peroxidase, TPO, due to nutritional deficiencies. That enzyme requires a lot of vitamin A, D, selenium, zinc, and protein. So we have to look at that. And a lot of you have these nutritional deficiencies because your gut's not working and you're not absorbing it. So we have to look at that, right? That's number 9. 10 through 15, right? So we're moving along. This is where, remember we said what comes out of the gland is mostly T4, 93%. It's inactive. 93% of what comes out of your thyroid is inactive. It's got to get converted over to T3 in different areas of the body. There are certain things that will prevent that conversion of T4 to active T3. Nutritional deficiencies, vitamin A, D, selenium, zinc. Poor gut flora because that's where it occurs. Elevated cytokines with systemic inflammation. Elevated cortisol. High cortisol, low cortisol is the arch enemy of thyroid function. There's a strong correlation there. Serotonin and dopamine deficiency. Well, these are 6 reasons for low thyroid. I see it in almost every patient. So we have to look at all these different reasons and correct them through natural methods. Does your endocrinologist look at this? There's no way, right? TSH, Synthroid, right? Levothyroxine. We're going to try this, we're going to try that. It's woefully enough. So we do blood, DNA, stool, salivary hormones, genetic testing to determine why you have these issues that are causing low thyroid. So this conversion of T4 to T3 occurs away from the gland, way away in the periphery, we call it. So we have to look at that. So here we see someone, the blue is cortisol, and they should be in the green zone. Their cortisol is super high, and that's going to prevent the conversion of T4 to T3. And then these are a cheek swab test that we do, that this person has specific genetic mutations that's not allowing T4 to get converted to T3. You know, it's so nice to know this stuff because if you have children or a sister or an aunt or whatever, you can tell them, hey, because a lot of you know this already. It runs in the family. You can say, this is the reason why you have this, and you can maybe help them. All right. Now, number 16 is overconversion, converting too much of inactive T4 to T3. Here's how hormones work. Just follow with me. It's complicated. Not that complicated, but here's the deal. If you make too much of a hormone, your cells start to ignore it. They become desensitized to it. So too much of a hormone after a while is like the symptoms are identical to as if it's too low, right? I always say it's like having teenagers. The more you talk at them, the less they listen. So that's called hormone desensitization. That's what happens in type 2 diabetes with insulin. So if you make too much T3, you develop what's called T3 resistance, and the cell starts making less receptor sites to the T3, and now it can't get into the cell. It doesn't really matter how much T3 you have. What matters is how much is getting into the cell to affect your genetic potential. So what can cause this? Taking medications with T3. I see a lot of this. Elevated testosterone due to bad blood sugar. We see that a lot too. That can also cause polycystic ovarian syndrome, and those symptoms are very similar to low thyroid. That's a whole other topic. And then hormone resistance, too much hormone, the cells start to stop listening to it. Okay, number 17, elevation of the thyroid binding globulin. This is what I call the taxi cab. So when the gland makes the hormones, they don't just float around willy-nilly. They jump onto a protein. I call it a taxi cab, and it carries it around, and it takes it to the liver, gut, kidneys, where it gets converted T4 over to T3. Now, if you have too much of these binding globulins, too many taxi cabs, you don't have enough free form of the hormone to get into the cell. So it's all attached. When hormones are attached to the protein, they're inactive. They got to cleave off and become free. But too many of these binding globulins, you don't have enough free active T3. So causes of that are estrogen dominance, which we see with hormone replacement therapy, birth control pills. Ladies, if you're on the pill not for contraception, but to regulate your hormones, don't do it. Come see me, consult with me, because you are meant to ovulate, not just to have babies. There's over 100 chemical reactions that when you don't ovulate, don't happen in your body. So there's some serious side effects taking birth control. This is one of them. Low progesterone will do this. Constipation cause this, and poor liver clearance of estrogens. So very important. And number 18, low thyroid binding globulin. Now you don't have enough of the taxicabs. You have too little proteins carrying the T3. Free T3 goes up, and when it goes up, now you start to get thyroid resistance. The cells stop listening to it. So that's usually we see this in males with excess estrogen. All right, so we're coming to the end here. Hopefully I haven't bored you, and hopefully your head's not spinning, okay? I'm giving you a drink of water from a fire hose right now, right? But again, a lot of this I go into detail on my longer video. The 19 through 22, this is thyroid resistance. Your levels can be good. Everything can look really good in the blood work, but if it's not getting into the cells, then it's a problem. So when you're inflamed, whether that inflammation comes from poor diet, or you have leaky gut, or you have food sensitivities, or you drink too much, all these different things will cause inflammation throughout the body. That raises these chemicals called cytokines, and cytokines block T3 from getting into the cell. Also elevated cortisol. Here we go again, cortisol, right? Cortisol blocks TSH production, blocks T4 to T3, and it blocks T3 from getting into the cells. So adrenal function really needs to be looked at when it comes to thyroid physiology. Deficiencies of vitamin A will block the ability of getting T3 into the cell and working your genes. And elevated homocysteine, which is a byproduct of protein metabolism, usually due to a B6-9-12 deficiency. So all your markers can look normal, but if we start to see on your blood chemistry all these other things, then we know that you're having thyroid resistance. So there's four reasons why you could have low thyroid, and your labs can actually look normal. I'm pretty good at this stuff. I'll sleuth it out and figure it out and get you in the right direction. So this is at the very end. All right, so this is high cortisol. That'll block the thyroid. These are inflammatory markers in the blood work. We'll see that, okay, this person, they have low thyroid symptoms and they got all this inflammation. We know once we lower inflammation, T3 will get into the cells and your thyroid will start working better. Here we see high homocysteine in the blood work. And here we see mutations, genetic mutations that can cause high homocysteine. So we can work around all that. All right, recap time. So according to the scientific literature, this isn't me making this stuff up. I wish I was that smart. I'm not. I just learned it from someone else. So according to the scientific literature, there's 22 ways that thyroid function can be low. Traditional medicine looks at one of them. Proper testing is crucial. The most common cause of low thyroid is an autoimmune disease known as Hashimoto's thyroiditis. There are many causes then to Hashimoto's. We got to identify and remove them. Almost all people with thyroid dysfunction have multiple causes. All must be identified and removed. And thyroid dysfunction affects every cell in the body, especially the brain. Clinical tests that we got to do comprehensive blood work. We're going to run 9 to 10 markers on your thyroid, and we use functional ranges, not lab ranges. We're going to look at the antibodies, reverse T3, T3 uptake, all these different things so I can really look at all these 22 patterns. Leaky gut needs to be checked, food sensitivity, genetic testing, DNA stool, and salivary adrenal testing to look at cortisol, DHEA, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. So I'm going to show you a few testimonials of actual patients. I could spend hours. I have so many of these testimonials of people's lives. It's so satisfying to me to take these people, mostly women, right? They come in and they're losing their hair and they're depressed. They have no energy. They're gaining weight. And they come in, we fix them. They lose weight. Their hair comes back. It's so satisfying. This could be you. Watch these testimonials, and then we're going to cover cost.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Andrews. I am 52 years old. I found Dr. Beyer almost like being touched by an angel. I was having a procedure at the hospital for having issues with swallowing, and the nurse there just touched my arm and said, "You need to see Dr. Beyer, he will help you." That was after I was telling her all my medical issues. I had severe thyroid problems. I had gained 80 pounds, losing my hair, alopecia, which they told me it's an autoimmune disease, nothing can happen. They couldn't do anything for my hair. So I was just slowly deteriorating, and no energy, no will to even do anything. I am with him 5 months. I've lost 52 pounds. My hair, as you can see, has grown back, which has been tremendous boost to just self-esteem. I am thankful that I found Dr. Beyer because he has given me my life back.
When I first came to Dr. Beyer, the reason I came to him, I was very frustrated with my fatigue, my inability to lose weight, my constant struggle in dealing with my newly diagnosed Hashimoto's. My hairdresser actually referred me to Dr. Beyer after I complimented her on how wonderful she looked. So she extolled, this great find here in Tinley Park, close by. I felt great. I felt like I've landed in the right place, that my issues were really heard, and they were going to be resolved. The pounds came off. Most importantly, my inflammation has decreased. I no longer have any joint aches and pains. I feel like slowly I'm reclaiming my life and being able to really participate 100%. So I highly recommend it. I am astounded at how wonderful I feel. Really, it's life-changing.
And when I first started the program, I was feeling kind of awful, but I kept getting information that I was pretty healthy from all of my doctors were telling me that I was okay. And Dr. Beyer is doing a seminar, and I'm like, well, I'll go see what it's about. I came in, listened with everyone else, and immediately became excited because all the information that I was getting just in that small seminar was like everything that I had been needing to hear when I was going to my doctors. And so it turned out to be one of the best decisions that I made for my health. I'm here and I feel awesome. The vertigo is gone, the headaches are gone, no heart palpitations, haven't seen any skin rashes for months. On top of that, I've lost about 35 pounds, and I had gained about 40 pounds within a year's time, so I'm ecstatic about the result.
My name is Jessica. I'm 32. I came to see Dr. Beyer. I was having thyroid problems that weren't getting any better, even though my doctor said my lab tests were good. I came in, I was losing my hair, I had a lot of stomach issues, I was tired all the time, I didn't have any energy.
And when you came in, you found us how? You came to one of our workshops, Jessica?
I came to one of the workshops. I saw the ad in the newspaper.
Okay, and then when you went to the workshop, obviously it kind of made sense, right? To
Right.
You? Otherwise you wouldn't have come in. Were you still a little skeptical, though, whether it would work or not, be honest?
A little bit.
Okay, but it made sense, so you joined, you did our program, and now we're wrapping it up today. There's 6 months, right?
Right.
And how do you feel today compared to that first day you came to our workshop?
I feel so much better. I have so much more energy. I'm not tired all the time. I don't have the stomach problems that I used to. I've learned how to eat things that don't make me sick. I've learned the things that do make me sick and what to stay away from so that I can...
And you've lost some weight too, right?
I have. I've lost quite a bit of weight. I've lost 35 pounds.
35 pounds. And was that kind of easy? It just kind of came off, right?
It did really came off. I didn't even realize it was really happening.
Yeah, because we improved your metabolism. So anyone out there that's suffering with a thyroid problem, would you recommend they at least investigate our program? Do you
Absolutely.
think was it worth your time and your money?
Yes.
All right,
Definitely.
that's great. And do you feel like you know how to take care of yourself now that we're wrapping up today?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Jessica.
Hi, my name is Teresa, and I was a very desperate person when I came in to see Dr. Beyer. I was having many issues, mostly with my thyroid. It scared me a lot. My resting heart rate was 122 beats a minute. I couldn't get up and walk across the room without it raising above that. This was lying in bed, not doing anything. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I have high blood pressure, I had high cholesterol, I had acid reflux. But like I said, the scariest thing for me was the heart rate caused by hyperthyroidism. So I go see an endocrinologist, and of course they put me on medication. And I look see an ad in the paper, are you having thyroid problems still? So I came in to see Dr. Beyer and went to a seminar.
And you came in with Stanley.
Oh yeah, my husband came with. Now
Okay.
he has been a big health advocate for a long time and say, Teresa, try this, Teresa, try this, do this, there's something wrong here. Well, we came in, we listened to Dr. Beyer, and we liked what he said and figured, what do we have to lose? We're coming in, we're gonna try this, at least do the testing, at least do everything. Give it a shot. Well, came in October 9th, I actually started the program. October 9th, 2017. My heart rate dropped to normal. In December, I saw my general practitioner. They took me off of all my blood pressure medication, off of my cholesterol medication. My endocrinologist called and told me quit taking my thyroid medication immediately because it completely switched from one end to the other. I had a sleep study done during this time because I did have sleep apnea, and I did say did. Sleep apnea is gone. I've lost over 40 pounds, even when I wasn't trying to. We went to Disneyland with our grandkids, and I did something I never thought I could do, get in and out of rides, which I could not do before. Hang on to everything and slowly ease yourself in, ease yourself out. I was hopping and I felt like a mountain goat. It was great. And it is unbelievable. People see me, they don't know what happened, how it happened, and they want to know, how did you lose the weight? I didn't try to lose weight. The weight left by itself. My heart rate is now about 70 beats a minute. I can walk, I can do different things. My blood pressure is a little on the lowish side from high and uncontrollable. My cholesterol is normal. No acid reflux. All of my body functions are functioning the way they're supposed to. And I've been singing Dr. Beyer's praises and Alexa's praises because she's been leading me with the diet, what to eat, what not to eat, what is good for you, and basically finding out all the things that are no good that we've been eating and consuming. And if it's so delicious, it's mostly chemicals. And if you can get away from all that, it's great. And I am so thankful. Both of us. Side effect on this, I eat, my husband eats what I eat. So when he's eating what I eat, he lost 25 pounds. His blood pressure medication was cut in half. He's off his cholesterol medication, and he's off his diabetes medicine. And this was just going along, following with me. So God bless these two people. They've been fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Teresa.
I felt absolutely awful. I thought, this is how I'm going to meet my demise and die in life, because I was just not that person. I was getting fatter by the minute, no energy, taking naps all the time, retired, and I thought, okay, this is retirement. I'm just going to sleep the thing away. And so I had gone to a mainstream doctor, and she gave me pills, of course, and I thought, I don't want to live my life on pills, but I took them. So then my husband read the article in the newspaper and said, well, why don't you try this guy? You know, because I'm more about natural than synthetic stuff. So then I tried you. I feel energized. The weight is dropping, but a lot of inches. These jeans I haven't had on since last year, and I put them on this morning. It was like, whoa! But my energy level, I don't nap all day. I don't have vertigo anymore. I'm just happy.
Okay, so what's next, okay? If this makes sense to you, I'm giving you an opportunity to call this number and schedule a free, no obligation, 30-minute consultation with me. If you live in the Chicagoland area, I want to do it face-to-face. If you live outside the Chicagoland area, because I have patients all over the country, we can do it virtually, right? So it's just an exchange of information. So the purpose of the consultation is I want to know, are you a good candidate? right? Because there's some people I can't help. I'll let you know. I'm just going to be very honest with you, okay? You're going to fill out, if it's virtual, you're going to fill out the girls are going to send, my staff's going to send you some information to fill out. You're going to email it back or fax it back before the consultation. If you come in person, you can fill it out in my clinic. It's called a metabolic assessment form. I like the spouse to be involved. Have him, it's usually him, right, or her, watch this video or my long video and get into it, because this is affecting your partner, folks, okay? If I accept your case, then I'm going to go over on another day, visit number 2, that's included in the free consultation. I'm going to go over, hey, this is what you got. I've been doing this for over 30 years. This is the testing I think we need to do and why, okay? I'm all about education. Number 1, you're going to feel validated. Finally, someone's figured me out. Number 2, to make changes, you got to know why. Number 3, I want to empower you with this information so you can manage your health the rest of your life. I usually meet with people for thyroid, usually 6 months, and we consult every other week, but you have 24-hour email access to me in between the consultations. Because we're going to get all the testing. We're going to say you got, usually it's 6 to 8 different things that people have with thyroid, and then we're going to start unwinding it. And I'm going to teach you every step of the way. And all I ask is that you are willing to do it, right? And then also on visit number 2, I go over finances. Now here, my first 2 visits are usually $450. People who've watched this video in its entirety, I give you a break. I don't have to repeat it to you. That's worth $450 to me. So I'm giving you an opportunity to call 24/7 and let them know that you watched this video, and then I'll give you a no-obligation complimentary 30 minutes of my time to see if you're a good candidate and your willingness to do this. And then we'll go over cost, okay? So the commitment is that you got to be willing to make changes, folks. You know, if nothing changes, nothing changes, okay? That's the definition of insanity, right? So most of you, the problem is you don't know what to change. You're trying to figure yourself out by going online and figuring it out. It's just, you could spend 2 lifetimes doing that. People hire me to figure that out and, you know, condense it down to 6 months and then teach you what to do, right? So you got to be accountable, and then there's a cost involvement. So roughly, we do care credit financing. It's going to cost this much, okay? We do financing, so 18 months of interest-free payments, approximately $375 a month for 18 months. You're not under care 18 months, but usually under care 6 months, but they give you that long to pay it off. Interest-free. You can go up to 60 months, and it's going to be like $170 a month with interest. I'll go over all those options if you're a good candidate and when you come in. If you pay it up front on a credit card, cash, check, I give you a $500 discount when you just pay it all up front. I'm going to go over all that down to the dollar on that second visit, which is included in the free consultation. Hopefully you enjoyed this, folks. Please, 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 you got nothing to lose. Schedule a consultation, 30 minutes, phone, come in, and I'll be just upfront and honest with you, and you'll find that it'll be very enlightening. So here's the number, and I hope you enjoyed this information, and I really look forward to meeting you soon. Have a great day.